Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome to the Sky's the Limit Limitless event. Here at Sky's the Limit, our heart is to connect entrepreneurs to mentors, business development, and funding opportunities. And today, we get to hear an amazing conversation from a really cool entrepreneur right here on our platform. But before we get started, I want you to check out this video to see all about Sky's the Limit.
Sky's the Limit is the best asset that has come up in the past year. Since 2021, they have been able to support raise of our investments in capital for our business, allowing us to launch our first book, Holistic Money Mindset, Mental Preparation for Abundance. More importantly, they've provided social capital as well. The network within Sky's the Limit is immaculate. From the fellow entrepreneurs I'm able to connect with all the way to the amazing mentors from amazing organizations across the world. My advice to anyone on the fence about joining Sky's the Limit, just do it. My first 2 weeks on the platform, I was very determined to expose myself to the network and met with over 20 mentors. Now, pretty much everyone on my personal and professional mentor list comes from Sky's the Limit. With that being said, you never know until you try, so go ahead and bet on yourself and your business and get on Sky's the Limit.
That was amazing. Man, I love each event we get to do and every story we get to hear. I'm excited to hear yours next. But for now, get ready for this month's Limitless conversation. Well, welcome back to Limitless. I'm excited that you're here today. My name is Chris. I get to host today. I'm excited. We're right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma for a live Limitless conversation. I'm here with a friend, my friend, Amnoni Myers. What's going on, man?
What's up, Chris? I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm glad to have you on the couch.
I know, same here. I know, it feels like it's been like forever. I'm glad to be back.
So you're in Tulsa. You're not from Tulsa.
I'm not from Tulsa.
Where are you from?
I'm actually from Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston, Massachusetts.
East Coast, East Coast.
I actually got a Boston Celtics jacket. I should.
You should have wore it. See? You didn't even come prepared.
I didn't come prepared.
It's okay.
I love it. What brought you to Tulsa?
So I actually came here through the Tulsa Remote Program back in 2021. Decided that I needed a new change in scenery, trajectory. I wanted some more community, and thought that Tulsa, Oklahoma would be the better place to do it. So I decided to come here.
I love it. I love it. Walk with me. Yeah. How did you go into the space of being an author? What was it like? Obviously, most of us encounter certain situations in life, but what was the thing that like transpired in your mind? Like, I need to share this. Like, walk the rest of that journey.
Yeah, that's real. So, as you know, I grew up in the foster care system, and I remember when I first entered into the system, I was always someone that liked to write. I was a creative, I was an artist, I like to write, I like to do poetry and all those things. And so, when I went into the foster care system, I was like, you know what? I really want to write a book about my journey. And so I started that journey, and I remember just doing it at the age of 12, and it felt so overwhelming. Wow. So I started writing like a few chapters, and I actually stopped. And I was like, you know what, I don't think I can do this. I just need to like just chill back for a little bit. And so I kind of stopped on that journey. But when I got into speaking, consulting, and training, talking about the foster care system, doing advocacy work and policy, I remember I would go and I would do speaking engagements, and people were like, Amnoni, where's your book? When are you going to write a book? And I was like, you know what, that's a good next step. And so I didn't necessarily know how I was going to go about it, how I was going to approach it. And unfortunately, after losing my little sister, I was like, you know what, I actually do need to tell this story. I need to write about my story to help other young people, because I wanted to make sure that nobody had to or has to go through the experiences that I faced. And so I ended up just starting the journey and writing, and that's what led me into becoming an author. Yeah, we got the book right here. We got the go little plug right here. When did it come out? So You Are the Prize, Seeing Yourself Beyond the Imperfections of Your Trauma came out in January of 2022. So it's been a full year, and had some great success with it. And I would say the journey of releasing the book was also really difficult. I just got a little bit of cold feet. I got really nervous about having to release something so personal and something so private to the world. And I just continued to think about my sister. I continued to think about what this impact of my story could have on other people. Because just by speaking it, people are like, you know what, I'm really inspired by you. I'm really motivated by you. You know, I really want to hear more. And so that's really what led to just like, okay, let me just release it. And so that's what I did.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
A lot of creatives I talk to, when I talk to around entrepreneurship, their mindset is, I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm a creative. But technically, as a creative, you're a creative entrepreneur in pursuing and releasing your skills and gifts in the form of as an entrepreneur.
For sure.
Can you speak to like even the thought of it as an author? How does that translate, and correlate to being an entrepreneur as well?
Yeah, that's a good question, Chris, because I also came from the nonprofit world.
Yeah.
And so in the nonprofit world, it's not profitable in that kind of way. And so having to change my mindset to think about it through a business endeavor has been really difficult, to say the least. But being here in Tulsa has actually given me the terminology, has given me the experience, the background to see that my intellectual property can create an impact. And not just socially, but how do you do that financially? Yeah. And so that has been the piece that I've been learning actually on this journey, is that Amnoni, you're allowed to make money, you're allowed to create a profit off of what you've created, and to think about it in a way that you're going to continue to use that funding and that money to continue to create a social impact.
That's great.
And that was the way that I was not able to see it at first. Yeah. And so that's what really held me back, because the other thing about me is that I'm a giver. Yeah. So what I was doing and what I still do is I give away my book to people who I think that will mostly benefit from it, because I don't want money to also be the factor. But what I've also learned is, Amani, you have to also take care of yourself too. So being able to balance the two is something that I've been learning. It's something that's challenging. It's something that is ever growing. But ideally, being around other creatives, being around other spaces, being on the platform, sky's the limit, allows me to be able to think and to do and to act in the way of a business owner, which is something I'm learning.
Absolutely love it. You even mentioned speaking opportunities and really allowing the essence of the book to come out and influence how you articulate to schools and all those things. Can you share even other ways that you either now or in the future maybe want to lean into more expanding this as a business,
for sure.
In your language.
For sure. So You Are the Prize is now a brand. And so what I'm essentially doing is I have my speaking, I have my consulting, I have my training. And what I want to do is I want to expand the book into curriculum. I've expanded the book into affirmation flashcards. And I really want to digitize it. I want to create an app. I want to be able to create an app not just for young people in the child welfare system, but for foster parents, for leaders in the field, because we're moving more to digitization. And I want to be able to have something that's accessible for people, not just through the book, you know what I'm saying? But being able to have other avenues and also revenue streams to be able to continue to support the business of the work that I'm doing.
Absolutely. Come on, multiple streams.
Yes, yes.
I love it. There's a lot here. There's a lot you've unpacked in the last 3 to 5 minutes here. Let's just be real, okay? There's a lot. There's so much beauty in what you articulate. How do you stay motivated? In the day-to-day, knowing the work that needs to be done, knowing the future goals, what keeps you motivated? Like, I gotta get this, because more people need this book.
For sure. I think that being my own brand helps motivate me because I'm motivating myself. So the ability of being able to be an entrepreneur is that you're your own boss. Therefore, as your own boss, you have to motivate yourself. And so because of that helps me to remember, like, my sole purpose. My sole purpose is to make sure that everyone that I encounter understands and sees themselves as the prize, which means that what are the things that I need to do to be able to make sure that happens. And so I have to also, in terms of motivating myself, is to also set up those practices on a daily basis of making sure that I'm spending time on my business, making sure that I'm spending time taking care of the things that I need to take care of. And then also when I talk to people, I feel like, when I do speaking engagements, when I'm in front of people, people motivate me, people inspire me, people give me energy. That's where I get my energy. I'm an extrovert. So when I'm in front of people and I'm talking to people and they're saying to me, wow, Amnoni, your story is so impactful, the things that you're sharing are so insightful, that just continues to motivate me to say, you know what, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think that it's important for me to have gotten there, because for a really long time, I felt like what was really difficult was that having to tell my story over and over again felt really difficult at first, because I wasn't necessarily sure where things were going, what was happening with it. And when I see young people come up to me and say, what you shared with me is something that I also experienced, something that I've gone through, something that I had a friend go through, and reading your book really helped me. It really reaffirms why I do what I do. And now I just want to do it in a way that just feels more impactful, that feels more inclusive to others, that can also have space to also share their story. You know, I think that stories are powerful. Stories are a way to create meaning and to create connection. And so we all need connection. And I think that that's something that we sort of lost during the pandemic.
Right.
And so being able to reconnect with folks is something that I want to do. So that motivates me.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. I think what you just said is you've attached your why to the fuel that keeps you going.
Yep.
One thing I've always heard is like if you lose your why, you lose your way.
Yeah.
Like especially if in this journey of entrepreneurship, it's like you get the fire at the beginning. It's like I gotta release it.
Yep.
3 months in, you still in the same spot. Like,
What just happened?
go back home.
Yeah.
So I think those stories, the affirmation is the thing that fuels you. And I think we've been talking around in this limitless conversation. There seems to be a pattern there. All the responses that we're hitting.
Yep.
Is I think it's very important to keep those people around you as well.
I agree.
That know you, know your journey, know your story. It's
Yep.
like, you know what you've done. Like,
Yeah.
where you've taken this. You've got a book here. Like,
Yeah.
Your name
I know.
your name.
It's so surreal too when I look at it.
Yeah, no, I love it. Can you come, I want to segue to mentorship.
For sure.
The heart of the sky's the limit is really finding right relationships and connections to assist and aid entrepreneurs. How do entrepreneurs play a role in your journey?
Yeah. So I would say that for one, I remember when I first moved to Tulsa and I was, on my book journey, and Owan, actually from Tulsa Remote, she was the one that told me that I should join Sky's the Limit. So I wasn't aware of the platform or any of that, so I just signed up and I just kind of like left it. I didn't necessarily, utilize it in the way that I needed to and wanted to for its original intention at first. And as I kept going through the journey, people kept saying, "Oh, have you heard of Sky's the Limit? Have you heard of Sky's the Limit?" And I'm like, I have, and I'm on there, but I have not been utilizing it. And I remember I was like, you know what? I'm actually gonna get on this platform, and I'm gonna actually take some time to learn the platform, because I recognize that there are some things that I really am needing, and I can't do this alone.
That part.
And so I remember having my first meeting with you and feeling really encouraged and feeling really inspired to just continue to seek out other mentors. And the platform makes it really easy, because when you go on the profile, volunteers show up. And Tashara was one of the first people that I saw show up. And I just immediately reached out to her. And within 24 hours, she reached back out and said, "I want to connect with you." And then when I met with her for the first time, it kind of snowballed, because then she had other people that she wanted me to reach out to.
Love it. Yeah.
And then I went back to the profile and I saw other people that looked very similar to some of the things that I was doing. And I saw Shayna Michael, and she's at Accenture and she does consulting and stuff. And I reached out to her, and like in less than 24 hours, she reached back out to me.
Yeah, let's go.
And I was like, okay, this is like really cool. And then I had another meeting with Tashara. We got a consistent time going. And she said, I want you to connect with Lauren Chin Bates. And I was like, okay.
Shout out to Lauren.
So I reached out to her, and she reached out to me in like no time. And what it has essentially showed me, which has been really important for me as somebody that has not experienced always consistent people in my life, to see that they've showed up, and they showed up immediately, and how helpful they've been. I mean, I connect with them almost on a weekly basis, and to have that time set aside to continue to meet with them, and for them to give me ideas that I hadn't necessarily thought about around my business. I would say that part of why I was so hesitant about joining was because I felt so overwhelmed. But when I joined the platform, and then when I was meeting with them, just them connecting with me, I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel so less stressed. And usually when I get on the phone with them, I'm usually stressed. And then when I get off the phone with them, usually when I say to them before I leave, I say, wow, I feel so much better.
Come on.
Thank you so much.
Come on.
So to me, those mentors have been super instrumental, and I've continued to reach out to more people, and people have been reaching back out, and the platform has just been phenomenal in me being able to connect with people.
Absolutely love it. Come on.
Yeah.
You gave out a list of some amazing volunteers on the platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you haven't got a chance to connect with a volunteer on the platform, make sure you tap into
Tap in. You have to.
it-
You're missing out.
You mentioned something at the beginning. It's like, I can't do this all by myself. There's so much value in someone adding value to what you already have.
Yes. I like that you said that.
Yeah.
It's really important to know to make that distinction, because
Yeah.
sometimes, especially when you have your business, you're so protective of it.
Mhm.
But when you say that allowing someone to also come so they can add value,
Yeah. Yeah.
oftentimes we think about when people come, they take value.
Mhm.
No, it's about added
Yeah.
value, and
Yeah.
that's what I've experienced in my
That's-
business.
You already had the value there.
Exactly.
You added. Come on, that's
Yes, that's a word.
I love it. I want to go a little deeper.
For sure.
Talk around a specific challenge.
Yeah.
It could be in releasing the book and trying to get it in library or whatever. What's some challenges you kind of came across, and how do you overcome it?
Yeah, challenges is a really big one, I would say, as a solo entrepreneur. And I say that because coming from the nonprofit space, again, there are just things that I have just not been equipped with, things I haven't quite learned, things that I'm still learning. And one of the things that I will say has been being able to scale it in a way that is marketable and that promotes it to be able to reach more and more people.
Yeah.
I feel like that has been the challenge of being able to really get my book out there.
Yeah.
I want to see it in so many different spaces, but there's only me.
Yeah.
And so being able to create strategy around that, I would say has been difficult, is to think about, where do I go? Who can I pitch this to?
Right.
Where does this belong? And so I would say that has definitely been a challenge. I would say another challenge has been being able to have capital. Not having capital when you're starting a business is really hard.
Yeah.
Especially when you're really bootstrapping it, or when
Yeah.
you're really doing it on your own. And so, in July, I quit my full-time consulting gig, and I was still doing like some consulting gigs on the side. But I wanted to quit my consulting gig so that I could fully focus in on the business.
Yeah.
And when I did that, it was like, oh shoot, like, what do I do? Where do I go?
Yeah.
So I feel like not necessarily having that pathway to be able to build sustainably, because I haven't had capital, has been a bit difficult. But again, joining the platform and being able to recognize that there's other capital that I can gain in the meantime has been something that I've been really overcoming, because I've been introduced to different pitches that I had no idea about.
Right.
And if I hadn't necessarily been connected to that person, I wouldn't have known. So that connection has allowed me to then have another connection to a potential business opportunity that will help me gain funding.
Absolutely.
And I will say that social connections are actually the most important.
That part.
So that to me is how I overcome it, is to recognize that because I don't have necessarily the business capital, you know what? I know that I can gain social capital, and that's something that's been important to me.
Absolutely. You're hitting it completely head on. And I'm even thinking about people who are on the fence of starting something.
Yeah.
They're thinking about those challenges.
Yeah.
Like are fearful, like, I know I've seen somebody else go through that, or like, what kind of words of wisdom can you kind of speak to someone in that beginning space of like, should I, can I?
Yeah. I would say that if you are starting from the beginning, people say that it's all about just starting and putting one foot in front of the other. I would say that even while you're starting, I would think about different people that you can connect with. And I would say that Sky's the Limit is the perfect platform for that. Because what it ends up doing is that if you know your business, or you're trying to think about an idea, what you can essentially do is you can connect with someone that has consultant experience. And so for me, what I did was, I'm a consultant, I have consultant experience, but one of the things that I don't necessarily have in place is, how do I then reach that target audience in that market? Because most of my experience has been referral based. I then reached out to Shayna because I saw that she had consultant experience. And she was able to give me some tips and some a different understanding of other ways I could approach it.
Yeah.
And that was knowledge and tools that I could add to my toolkit. So I would say one of those ways is reaching out to people on that platform of Sky's the Limit. The other thing is that recognize that you're not alone.
Yeah.
One of the things that has been helpful has been being in spaces with creatives and with newly entrepreneurs, because I have found that the things that they're experiencing, I'm experiencing too, therefore I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I also think there's important in community.
Yeah.
Community is so important, and I think that if we can find a way to be able to um, connect with each other in a way that doesn't, I think many of us struggle with, I don't have anything to give. So, how, what do I offer? And I think that if you're able to find something that you all can both mutually agree on, I think that's important. I think the beginning of a business process and identifying what you're trying to do is to be able to also think about who you want on your team. And it's even your physical team or even just your intellectual team and just even your team around being in community. And so for me, these are the things that I'm learning. I will also say that somebody has also said to me that when it feels really hard to stay in it, and I know that's hard to say, stay in it. The other thing that I'm also recognizing that it's, one of the things that I did, like I said, is I quit my job. And I didn't necessarily think about, I thought about, the people that say, oh, I went to Hollywood with $1, and also that might have worked back then. I cannot leave and go to Hollywood with $1.
Not no more.
So, what does it mean to pick up some side gigs, a side hustle, a side project, a side job? And these are the things that I'm actually learning right now. I'm even thinking about, like, I might need to actually get a job, and that feels hard, but it's the way that you think about it. And the way that somebody broke it down to me was, I'm getting this job because it's going to help me pay for certain things. And so to strategically think about, okay, you know what, I know that I need equipment. I'm going to get this job, and that this job is going to help pay for that equipment. You know what I'm saying? Along with paying my bills. So it's just about being strategic and getting strategic. And I know many people don't always have the skills to be that. So it's about finding people who are strategic. And that's what I'm learning too, that I'm strategic in certain ways, but there's other ways that I'm not. And those are the kind of skills that I want to be able to pull on and draw on from other people.
My goodness. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a little floored from this conversation. Like, there is so much wisdom, so many nuggets that a lot of us can leave with and like really apply it to our own journey.
For sure.
Whether we're in the same category or whatever, like there was so much. There's always wisdom and value in someone else's journey that we can always receive.
For sure.
And I'm glad that we can do that from your journey in your life today.
Thank you so much.
Can you share how we can find you and how we can get the book and all those things?
For sure, all those things. So you can find me on Amazon. You Are the Prize, Seeing Yourself Beyond the Imperfections of Your Trauma. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Amnoni Myers. You can also find me at AmnoniMotivates.com. I'm also rebranded into You Are the Prize, and so until then, you can find me on that website. But those are the places that you all can find me. Those are the places where you can support me. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for all of our Limitless conversations here every month for amazing conversations. Stay tuned. Sky'slimit.org. If you haven't joined the platform, make sure you join the platform. Get connected with entrepreneurs, volunteers from all around the world. And we're doing something special in Tulsa, so we get to show it today. So have a great day. Talk soon.
Peace.
What just happened? Like I have a notebook full of notes. Like my head is about to explode. That conversation was amazing, and I'm excited for what it'll do in and through your business. Make sure you stay tapped into all that Sky's the Limit has to offer. Check out the funding tab at the top of your page for every month's family and friend grant. Meet new people, connect with new entrepreneurs, connect with new volunteer mentors, and we can't wait to see you for next month's Limitless Conversation. Deuces.